Hello, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful black people. I hope that all is well in your world. And this day was a good day for you and all of your wonderful, wonderful loved ones. Beautiful black people, beautiful, intelligent black people. Know this. We are descendants of the only 100% human beings, originated on the continent of Africa. We are descendants of those black folks. All highly melanated, all melanated people of today are descendants of those 100% humans that originated on the continent of Africa. We are not hybrids. We are not hybrids. We are not hybrids. We have dominant genes. We have an abundance. We have majority dominant genes. We are descendants of those original black Africans, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. The question is asked many times, why is so many countries, there's 54 countries on the continent of Africa, why are poverty such abundance on the continent of Africa? Why are children and adults starving to death on the continent of Africa, when the continent of Africa is the only continent that has the natural resources, have the wherewithal, the environment, the climate, the materials, raw materials, natural resources, to be a self-sustaining continent, not having to import anything from Europe, from America, from South America, or anywhere, or from Asia, from anywhere. Know this, the answer to those questions are, it is white folks. It is those Europeans that still have a financial hold over the continent of Africa. Certainly, back in the late 50s and the 1960s and the early 1960s, those colonizers, the Europeans, granted those countries independence, but that independence was limited to political independence. That's where it ended. For example, 14 of the countries that France colonized still have to today deposit 65% of their monetary cash resources into the French central bank. And once that money is deposited in the French central bank, those 14 African countries have no control of that money. The French will then take that cash that they are taking from those 14 African countries and loan it back to those African countries at the current interest rates. In 1874, there was a commission. I believe it was called the Berlin Commission. These colonizers, these racist, greedy, hateful, compassionless white folks got together in Berlin, and they sliced up the continent of Africa like a cake. They created all of these countries that we're now dealing with. They created policies that made it very difficult for each African country to trade with other African countries. They made it literally impossible to do. And those policies are still in effect today. In addition to that, these white folks made it almost impossible for Africans to travel from one African country to the next. If you want to travel from Ghana to Nigeria, it's very, very difficult, the process that you have to go through. If you want to travel from Mali to Mozambique, it's literally impossible because of the hassle that you have to go through in order to make that happen. On the contrary, if you want to travel from any African country to Europe, to France, to Germany, oh, it's real easy. No problem. So essentially, what these white folks did in 1874, they wanted to guarantee, assure, that if these African countries ever wanted their independence, then they would still have to trade with the colonizer countries. And that's what has happened. It is easier for any African country to import goods and services from European countries than it is to import, to trade goods and services to their neighboring African country. You get the idea of what these white folks have done? They did this in 1874, and still today, in October of 2020, these African countries are still striving, trying to grow their economies, and they cannot because these colonizing countries are still raping them of their cash reserves, of their ability to trade with other African countries, their ability to travel from one African country to another is very difficult. These white folks still have a financial hold on the continent of Africa. They're still raping Africa of its natural resources, of its cash reserves. Therefore, making sure that these African countries remain in debt with the colonizing countries making sure that the African countries have to trade with the colonizing countries, and preventing the African countries from trading with other African countries, from traveling to other African countries. So when the question is asked, why is Africa? Why are African people so poor? Why are African children dying of starvation? Why are Africans, black Africans, still in October of 2020 killing themselves, killing each other? Look at what is happening in Nigeria right now with SARS and the SWAT teams, so-called police in Nigeria, is killing protesters every day. They have learned from the colonizers to kill each other, just as the colonizers kill African folks when they were there and had those countries colonized. Too many African countries are led by corrupted black folks that are creating conditions in October of 2020 that are very similar to what the white racist colonizers did to the African people as they sliced the continent up and colonized it. Black folks are doing the job of the white racist European, doing a slow genocide on each other, while the white racist Europeans are raping the countries of their natural resources and their cash reserves due to the policies that was created in 1874. And some of those African countries are now allowing the Chinese to come into their countries and do the same thing, literally colonizing them all over again, because corrupted black Africans, politicians, are likened to someone like Trump and his family, only interested in building wealth for themselves, and to hell with the rest of the people in their countries. Just like Trump say every day, I'm building wealth for myself and my family, and to hell with the rest of the American people. It is not that African countries cannot grow economically. It is the policies that the colonizers created, and the African countries had to sign contracts back in 1874 that assured these colonizing countries that 65%, I believe at one time it was 85% of each country's cash reserves had to be deposited every month in the banks of these colonizing countries, raping Africa of its ability to grow its own economy, country by country, preventing African countries from trading with each other, from traveling to each other's countries, etc., etc. I love you all. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay COVID-free. I am the Thrasher Way. I am the Thrasher Way. I am the Thrasher Way.